My brother became obsessed with my girlfriend, but my family stood by him. In the end, we were forced to leave everything behind. My brother stalked my girlfriend, but my family defended him. We were threatened, so we had to leave, start over, and cut all ties. It all started when my girlfriend, Sophia, walked in. Ethan immediately started acting out, making her feel really uncomfortable. His behavior was totally out of character. He nearly shoved our mom aside just so he could be the first one to greet Sophia, and when he hugged her, he held on so tight she had to pull away to escape. At dinner, he kept finding reasons to touch her hand or shoulder and made inside jokes, even though they had just met. He kept pushing past me to sit next to her, and then he crossed a line when he tried to feed her with his fork, all while staring at her way too intensely. Sophia was clearly uncomfortable, but she stayed polite since it was the first time she was meeting my family, and she wanted to make a good impression. The entire evening, Ethan kept telling embarrassing stories about my past, twisting them to make me look like a mess. One of the worst things he said was a made-up story about how he had to save my high school girlfriend from me because of alleged emotional abuse that never happened. Sophia knew these stories weren't true since I had already shared my past with her, but my parents just went along with it like it was the gospel truth. After dinner, things got worse. Sophia offered to help clean up, trying to be polite. I was in the garage helping my dad move some boxes when I realized I hadn't seen Sophia in a while. I went inside to check on her and found her in the kitchen with Ethan, blocking her from leaving. He had her cornered at the sink, telling her she deserved someone more exciting than me, his boring, unstable older brother. He was standing way too close to her, one hand on the counter next to her hip. Sophia told him to back off twice before I came inside. When she saw me, she visibly relaxed and stood next to me. Ethan just laughed it off like everything was a joke, but Sophia was visibly shaken. Sophia and I had been together for 8 months, and up until Ethan's behavior started interfering, everything had been great. I guess I should explain a bit about my family, so you can understand why this is all happening. Ethan and I grew up in a small town in Minnesota. Our parents worked in real estate, making a good living, but they always valued appearances over real family connections. Ethan was born when I was 3, and ever since, he's been the center of attention. He could do no wrong, but somehow, everything was my fault. Growing up, Ethan did some seriously troubling things, and my parents just ignored it. When he was 6, he deliberately smashed my game console because I didn't let him play whenever he wanted. Instead of punishing him, they bought him his own and told me I needed to share better. At 12, he killed my pet hamster by feeding it chocolate, knowing it was deadly. My parents dismissed it as a mistake and said I shouldn't have had a pet if I couldn't care for it properly. In high school, he made up lies about me cheating on my girlfriend, which ended our relationship. My parents said he was just protecting her. This kind of behavior carried on into adulthood. Ethan still lives with our parents, works at my father's real estate firm, and pretty much does whatever he wants. He's ruined every relationship I've tried to have by lying about me. He told one ex that I had a gambling problem, which was completely false. Another time, he spread rumors that I had cheated on all my past girlfriends, which wasn't true either. My parents either made excuses for him or blamed me for being too sensitive. When I met Sophia, I decided to do things differently. I kept our relationship quiet from my family for the first few months to protect her from Ethan's manipulations. Sophia is genuinely the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's an intelligent and caring pediatric nurse at the local hospital. We met while I was visiting a coworker who had just had surgery. She was on her lunch break, and we bonded over how terrible the hospital coffee was. After a few more coffee discussions, we started dating, and everything seemed great. Sophia knows all about my family dynamics because I wanted her to be prepared. In fact, she was the one who pushed me to introduce her to them, saying that maybe things would be different now that we were all adults. One of the things I love most about her is that she always tries to see the best in people. Eventually, I agreed to introduce Sophia to my family at a dinner party. That's when everything started falling apart. A few days after the dinner, Sophia started getting strange phone calls and messages from numbers she didn't recognize. At first, she just hung up or didn't answer, but then the calls became more threatening. They even left voicemails calling her stuck up and cold for turning me down, and they seemed to know personal details about her work schedule and what she wore. It was clear someone was watching her. Sophia didn't realize it at first, but a couple of the voices reminded me of Ethan's high school friends. These guys still hung out with him, doing whatever he told them to because his parents gave them money to spend. When Sophia blocked the numbers, they just called from new ones. Then, Ethan's friends started showing up at the hospital, pretending to be visitors but actually lurking around the pediatric wing where Sophia worked. They'd stare at her for hours and make loud comments that she could hear. Last week, one of them followed Sophia to her car after she worked the night shift. She was so terrified she called me crying, saying she didn't feel safe driving home, fearing they were watching her. I had to go pick her up, and then I drove her car back while my friend followed us to make sure we weren't being followed. Sophia's been having panic attacks before her shifts now, and her coworkers have noticed that something's wrong. Yesterday, I finally gathered enough evidence to confront Ethan. I had voicemails, message screenshots, and even hospital security footage showing his friends stalking Sophia. I went to our parents' house to show him everything, but he just sat there, smiling smugly. He looked me in the eyes and said he didn't know what I was talking about, but maybe if Sophia wasn't such a spoiled brat, no one would feel the need to teach her a lesson. That's when I snapped and hit him in the face. Ethan started screaming like I'd tried to kill him, even though it was just a little nosebleed. My parents rushed in, and of course, they blamed me, not him. They didn't even look at the evidence I showed them. My mom was furious, saying I was trying to destroy Ethan's life, and my dad said I was just jealous of him and needed anger management. I tried to explain the harassment, but my mom said Sophia was probably flirting with Ethan at dinner and was now playing the victim because she got caught. Dad told me to leave and not come back until I apologized to Ethan and got my head straight. Now I'm staying at Sophia's place. She's been crying for hours, terrified of going to work tomorrow. Her supervisor is understanding but worried that if this escalates, Sophia might lose her job. The police won't take any action unless there's more concrete proof linking Ethan to the harassment, and my family keeps gaslighting both of us. I don't know what to do anymore. Every time I think Ethan can't go any lower, he proves me wrong. I just want to keep Sophia safe while dealing with this toxic family. After 2 hours of being called in for an intervention, they took turns tearing into Sophia's character. Ethan sat there, looking like he was enjoying it. My mom went on for what felt like forever, talking about how Sophia was jealous of Ethan's looks and success, though I still wasn't sure what success she meant, and how she'd been flirting with him during dinner. She claimed Sophia made up the harassment because she felt guilty for leading Ethan on and was now trying to cover her tracks. According to my aunt, Sophia probably just wasn't used to not getting attention from men at work and mistook being polite for stalking. Ethan was playing his part well, looking sad and confused, as if he couldn't understand why Sophia would make up such lies about him. He kept saying how happy he was to finally have a sister-in-law, but how upset he was that she was trying to turn everyone against him. Ryan and his buddies jumped in too, saying they only came to the hospital to visit Ryan's grandmother, who apparently moves between floors and apartments all the time. The worst part came when they started questioning Sophia's mental health. They mentioned that she sometimes worked nights, implying that a lack of sleep was making her paranoid. They also went on about how stressful her job with sick kids must be and how she might be taking out her stress on harmless interactions with Ethan and his friends. My mom even suggested she should see a therapist to deal with her tendency to stir up drama. At first, Sophia tried to defend herself, politely explaining the harassment again and showing them the voicemails and messages, but they just talked over her. They dismissed everything she said as misunderstandings, hinting that she was the one causing all the trouble. Things took a worse turn when Ryan started listing off what Sophia had worn to work on specific days, showing that he'd been paying attention to her every move. My parents assumed that meant Sophia was just looking for attention. The situation got even more tense when they invited Ryan and his friends to join us for dessert, claiming they wanted to show what good young men they were. At that point, Sophia was struggling to breathe and had to leave the room. When I tried to follow her, my mom grabbed my arm and told me it was time to choose, my real family or this clearly unstable girl who was just trying to cause trouble. I didn't hesitate. I chose Sophia. We left quickly, and I haven't spoken to my family since that night. Since then, Ethan's friends have stepped up their harassment, spreading rumors at Sophia's workplace, saying she's mentally unstable and prone to making false claims. Her supervisor called her in for a meeting to talk about the drama and warned her that it was starting to affect her job performance. They suggested she think about transferring to another department or even a different hospital. We've hired a lawyer to help us get a restraining order, but the process is slow. Sophia's been applying to other hospitals, and one of her old coworkers is helping her find a job about 300 miles away. I hate that we have to take such drastic steps, but I can't stand seeing Sophia live in fear every day. She's been crying before every shift, and she's losing weight because she's too anxious to eat properly. I just don't know what to do anymore. Every attempt to handle this rationally has failed. My family is completely out of touch. The police don't seem to be helping, and it feels like Ethan's getting away with everything. Update 2. I wish I had better news, but things fell apart after what happened at my cousin Chloe's wedding last weekend. I've been trying to make sense of everything for the last few days before posting this update. What was supposed to be a happy family celebration turned into a disaster that ended with Ethan getting arrested and our family beyond repair. Chloe has always been the one family member, aside from my grandfather, who saw through Ethan's lies when we were kids. Mom caught Ethan abusing her cat, and she told everyone, but my parents convinced us she was just making it up for attention. Chloe never let it go, and she's been a rock for me through all of this, especially with Sophia's situation. She even helped draft a statement for our lawyer about Ethan's background. When Chloe sent out wedding invitations, Sophia and I weren't sure if we should go. But Chloe called us and explained that she'd only invited Ethan because her parents insisted, and she had hired extra security just to keep an eye on him. She also made sure to sit us at a table with her husband's family, far away from my parents and Ethan. We thought that with all the witnesses and security, Ethan wouldn't do anything stupid. We were wrong. The ceremony went well, mostly because Ethan was busy with his duties as a groomsman. Noah, Chloe's husband, is on the other side of the family, and he didn't know any of the drama going on. Everything seemed fine at first. Ethan sat with our parents, while Sophia and I were across the room with Chloe's in-laws. Sophia actually started to relax and enjoy herself, something she hadn't done in weeks. Around 9 p.m., Sophia went to the restroom. After about 10 minutes, I noticed Ethan wasn't at his table anymore, and something felt off. I decided to go check on her. Just as I was about to walk into the restroom, I heard Sophia scream. I ran toward the sound, and Noah and his brother were already coming around the corner. They found Ethan pushing Sophia up against the wall outside the restroom, trying to force himself on her while she fought him off. He had one hand over her mouth and the other grabbing her arm, leaving bruises. Noah and his brother pulled Ethan off of her, and Sophia was shaking, crying. Her dress was torn at the shoulder, and there were visible bruises on her arm. Ethan was obviously drunk and started ranting that Sophia had been teasing him all night, though she hadn't even gone near him. He claimed she followed him into the hallway, but that wasn't true. She got there first. Noah's brother, a police officer from another city, quickly called local law enforcement. Noah helped Sophia into a private room where Chloe and her mom tried to calm her down. Things only got worse from there. When the police arrived, my parents tried to stop them from arresting Ethan. My mom was crying, saying it was all a misunderstanding and that Sophia had misled Ethan. She begged the officers not to ruin his life over one drunken mistake. My dad physically tried to stop them from putting Ethan in handcuffs, saying it was a family matter. Ethan, between crying and yelling, claimed Sophia had seduced him and then accused her of making up the assault. He even threatened us, saying we didn't understand what he was capable of. When they finally got him into the police car, he yelled that Sophia had been asking for it ever since they met. Some guests had filmed the whole thing. The aftermath was brutal. My parents frantically called family members to give their version of the story. They claimed Sophia had taken Ethan to a quiet place, come on to him, and then accused him of assault when he rejected her. They said she'd planned the whole thing as revenge for Ethan, exposing her lies about the harassment. They even claimed that Noah and his brother had hit Ethan before the cops arrived, which wasn't true. They said Sophia hurt herself. At least the wedding video shows Ethan following Sophia into the hallway, and there's enough witness testimony and video evidence to prove he was the one who caused all this. Our lawyer thinks we have a strong case. Several family members who were there that night have come forward to testify about Ethan's actions, including the inappropriate things he said to Sophia and how he pursued her during the reception. My parents have threatened to disown me unless Sophia drops her claims. They've been calling and messaging nonstop, apologizing for tearing the family apart, and then threatening to cut me out of the inheritance. They even showed up at my apartment yesterday, causing a scene that got my neighbors to call the police. My mom screamed about how I was putting her sweet boy in jail, while my dad swore he'd make sure I never worked in this state again. Sophia and I decided it's time to move on. She accepted a job offer at a hospital 300 miles away, and I plan to keep working remotely for my company. We're moving next month. Some people might think we're running away, but really, we just need to get away from the toxicity and start fresh. Chloe understands and has agreed to keep us updated on any family developments. The hardest part of all this is knowing that my family still won't accept that Ethan needs help. Even after what he did at the wedding in front of so many people, they're still defending him and blaming the victim. I often wonder what could have happened if someone had stepped in when we were kids, but I'll never know. For now, I just have to focus on protecting Sophia and building our new life away from Ethan and my family's enabling behavior. The situation with Ethan and my father had escalated to a point where I couldn't stand by anymore. Ethan had been abusing Olivia, and every time she threatened to leave, my father would step in. He used his real estate connections to pressure Olivia's family about their mortgage, or he'd threatened to get her fired from one of his business associates' companies. He even convinced Olivia's parents that she was mentally unstable, just like he did with Sophia. It was the same tactics over and over. Things came to a head when Olivia got promoted at work. This promotion would have given her the financial independence she needed, but Ethan snapped. He beat her so badly that she couldn't even walk. When she called my father for help, he told her to ice it and think about her wedding vows. That's when her co-worker called the cops. Both Ethan and my father were arrested. Ethan for domestic violence, and my father for witness tampering and conspiracy. Afterward, my mother urged me to go back and help fix things. She kept saying, the family needs to stick together, that Ethan and Dad needed my support, and that Olivia was clearly exaggerating, just like Sophia did. I lost it. I told her exactly how I felt about her enabling Ethan throughout his whole life. I reminded her about Sophia and how they stood by Ethan after watching him assault her at Chloe's wedding. I asked her if she had ever considered that if they had helped Ethan when he was younger, maybe Olivia wouldn't be in the hospital right now. My mom started crying and admitted they should have acted sooner. She said they always knew Ethan had problems, but they thought they were protecting him by keeping everything hidden. Too little, too late. I hung up and blocked her number. Chloe reached out to me later to confirm something she'd heard through the grapevine. Olivia's parents were devastated and regretted not believing her sooner. They were supporting her in pressing charges against both Ethan and my father. The police were also looking into other victims, as a number of Ethan's ex-girlfriends had come forward with similar stories of abuse. Sophia suggested we reach out to Olivia through Chloe to offer her help, which we're likely to do. Sophia pointed out that it was lucky she had support when dealing with Ethan, and Olivia might need someone who knows what she's going through. Some people might think I'm being cold toward my parents, but I've learned that letting toxic behavior slide just creates more victims. My family had countless chances to change, but they chose not to. Now, they have to face the consequences of their actions without my help. My focus now is on defending my own family, my wife, our unborn daughter, and the peaceful life we've managed to build away from all the toxicity. Update. A lot of people have asked for an update on the situation with Ethan, my father, and Olivia. Here's what's happened in the past 6 months. First, some good news from our side. Sophia and I had our daughter, Isla, 3 months ago. She's healthy, happy, and just beautiful. Parenthood has been amazing, and it's only made me more sure that cutting ties with my messed up family was the right decision. Chloe and her husband came to visit Isla last month, and seeing them with her really showed me what true family love looks like. As for the situation with Ethan and my father, Chloe's been keeping us posted because she still talks to some extended family. Ethan struck a plea deal last month. He'll serve 8 years in prison for serious domestic abuse, with the possibility of parole after 5 years. My father's case is still ongoing, though his lawyer is trying to work out a settlement. His real estate license is suspended, and many of his business partners have cut ties with him. The biggest shock has been my mom's progress. After our last phone conversation, she started therapy. According to Chloe, she moved out of the family home and filed for divorce from my dad. She even sent me a 12-page letter last week, apologizing for everything, enabling Ethan, failing to protect me as a kid, and, most of all, how they treated Sophia. She admitted that by never holding Ethan accountable, they created the monster he became. I haven't replied to the letter yet. Part of me respects that she's facing the truth now, but it's too late. Where was this understanding when Ethan was torturing animals as a kid or stalking Sophia, or when they saw him assault her at Chloe's wedding? Sophia and I are still talking about the possibility of letting her have supervised visits with Isla, but that's probably years away, if it happens at all. Olivia has been doing better. She's living with her sister in another state and is receiving extensive therapy. She's filed for divorce and is fully cooperating with the authorities. According to Chloe, several other women have come forward with allegations against Ethan, including 2 from his church. The police are looking into those claims as well. Olivia's parents have been incredibly supportive since the truth came out. They publicly apologized to her for not believing her sooner and have cut ties with my parents. They're even working with domestic violence organizations to help other families recognize signs of abuse and manipulation. Our extended family is divided. Most of the younger cousins and relatives have stood by us and Olivia, while the older generation continues to make excuses for Ethan and my father. Chloe's mom, my aunt, has started a family therapy group for those who want to understand what went wrong and how to prevent it in the future. Sophia and I are focused on our daughter and our lives. Sophia just went back to work part-time and was promoted to director of pediatric nursing. I'm still working remotely, but I'm thinking about starting my own software consulting firm. We've built a wonderful community here with great friends and chosen family. Sometimes, I think about responding to my mom's letter or reaching out to her, but then I look at Isla and think about how my parents would expect me to let Ethan near her if we were still in contact, claiming he deserves another chance. That thought alone reminds me that staying away was the right decision. The cycle of cruelty and enabling in my family ends with me. Isla will grow up in a home that values healthy relationships and respects boundaries. Cutting off toxic family members is hard, but it's the best thing I can do for my child.